What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Cottrell Guidry. Welcome to Connected AF Podcast, where we have open and honest and authentic conversations with artists that I personally respect and love. Today, we have my buddy, Michael Trevino, incredible actor, now director, producer, getting into writing. You may recognize him from Vampire Diaries and Roswell, amongst a bunch of other things that he's done. Please welcome Michael Trevino.
Hello.
What's up?
Thank you for having me, man. I'm a pleasure to be here, ready to chat about all of the things.
Yeah. No, I appreciate having you on, and it's kind of incredible how full circle this came because, if we really think about it, we've known each other, dude, for almost like 8-9 years.
Yes. Yeah. Long time, man. It's been a long time, and you're one of the few like me, this native Angelino, California kids, born and raised.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Especially like there's not many of us pursuing, or at least I don't feel like I meet a lot of actors that are from Los Angeles. I meet a lot of people that are not from LA, coming out here to make it, quote unquote.
Sure. The majority, but to have this, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but to have this industry or part of it in our backyard, was super part of why I do what I do, why you do what you do.
Yeah, man. Well, so how did you get into it? Because I know you've been doing this a long time.
Sure. When I'm asked that question, I always think like, when did it start? And then I always go to like, well, I joined the Screen Actors Guild in 2005.
Yeah.
Right? I always kind of equate it to that. And, for me, I didn't start pursuing this profession until after high school. It was after high school. It was 1 year I was at Pasadena City College, going to go the college route and thinking like I'm going to go to a 4-year university and everything. And it was in that year that I was still very, not really utilizing my time properly. Still very much high school in college, was doing just the bare minimum to get by in these classes. And I figured, you know what, this isn't right. Let me see if I can pursue this acting thing. If I can, take a class, learn, and really give everything. And at that time, to do that, I needed to make an agreement deal with my parents. Like, hey, I'm going to drop out of school to go and try and do this thing. And that was a big deal. That wasn't easy because their dream for me was like, you're gonna go to school, you're gonna get a college degree, and you're gonna, set you up. And I had a conversation with them, and luckily at that time, they said, okay, we'll give you 1 year. We'll give you 1 year to pursue this.
Yeah. It's interesting, man. It's like so many of us get out of high school and we're expected to know exactly what we're going to do. Right. It's like right away. It's like we have this plan and it's this idea of how things are going to go,
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And it's sometimes it's, your plan, sometimes it's your parents' plan, their influence of what they have. And I have to say, like, I'm very grateful for them giving me 1 year off. Right. I never went back, but to have that year off was a big deal. And for me to pursue, my dreams or goals. But at the time I didn't know this, but I will say that like, it just goes to show you as far as being decisive in life and making choices, whether they're right or wrong choices, you never know, but to make a choice, it's a big thing, because so often I think we do, and I still get this way in certain moments where it's analysis paralysis. And I'm overthinking it way too much. And I'm constantly doing that and I'm not making any moves. And so I think at that time, I didn't know it at the time. I think I just wanted to chase a dream, but I was glad that I at least spoke up and made a choice. And, if I hadn't done that, I don't know if I'd be doing what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, that's a big deal. A lot of us are, human beings. Some of us walk around wondering what we should do. And we're looking to others to make the choices for us, because if we make the choice, then whatever happens, we are in complete responsibility. We can't be like, oh, my parents told me to do this. Oh, my boss told me to do this. My girlfriend, my wife, this person, that person told me to do this. You made a choice at a young age and you had to own that choice. And I think, it looks like the results worked out, relatively well for the grand scheme of things, as far as like you're a working actor person. That's not That's not common.
No, that's a real thing, and I don't take that lightly. I'm very proud of that. But there are moments, and there have been moments or stretches of time where I'm not working. I'm trying, but I'm not working. I'm in between jobs, or I'm trying to audition, and so yeah, you're right. It's difficult because at that age, I was right out of high school. You're young, and you're taking a risk. You're taking a big risk, right? Like at that
Yeah.
time, to drop out of college for me was like everything. I was supposed to go to college and get a degree and run a business or join a company, and but it's you know the saying, no risk, no reward, and so you have to. It's okay to be uncomfortable. I think
Yeah.
there's obviously growth in being uncomfortable, and when you take risks, it's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel right because you're like, this could work or this could blow up in my face and not work at all. That's a real feeling, and fear will keep you kind of stuck, maybe not moving at all or doing anything. And so I think bet on yourself. Bet on yourself.
Yeah. No, so in that first year, right? You said you had a year. What happened in that year? What happened in that year to make your parents go, okay, we're cool with you doing this?
Well, within that year, and I'm not sure the timeline of how things, but I was like, okay, you have to get an agent, right? An agent gets you these jobs. And I can remember going to Samuel French bookshop and getting the list of the agency tabs in Hollywood. And I did this assembly line of like a cover letter, and I stapled it to a headshot, that photo that my buddy made. I stapled that to a resume, and the back of the resume was a bunch of student films from USC that I never did. I made them up. And then I put them all in a package, and I sent out these agent tabs. And out of like, there's 100 and something, I got 2 or 3 callbacks of interest.
Yeah.
And so I think that was, and I'm saying this before first thing I did was get into an acting class. I got into an acting class, started studying, going weekly to Playhouse West off Lancashire, here right near Universal Studios, and was learning Meisner technique. What is this? Andy Meisner. Who is that? What is this about? I stayed in class. I got an agent, started auditioning, and I think I booked I remember at the time I got an old Navy commercial. Remember those like performance fleece Christmas time Navy commercial? Everybody's dancing or whatever. I think I did one of those. So I booked a commercial gig, but nothing substantial, right?
Yeah.
And the year was great. Like getting an agent, getting representation, huge. Auditioning, like legitimate auditions, huge. But that wasn't. I remember at the end of the year, it was time to enroll in classes, and my parents were like, this has been great, good for you, it's nice, you had a couple gigs here,
Yeah.
but we want you to get back to class or get back in school. And I ended up booking this towards the end of the year. I ended up booking this Disney Channel movie of the week, and that's what moved the needle for my parents, because that job, I was 19 years old.
Yeah.
I was going to leave LA and shoot in I was going to shoot in Toronto, Canada, for a month and a half.
Wow.
That's when it became where they were like, oh, and you're getting paid to do this, and they're putting you up, and they're flying you first class. Oh, wow. And so brand new to me, so brand new to them. And that's when I think they were like, oh, okay, you maybe have something here. And so because of that job, I didn't have to I didn't have to go back to school.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's a trip. So yeah, I mean, that means I can see why, because I remember when Kat and I were walking on Hollywood Boulevard. I hadn't met you yet. You guys haven't even gone on Vampire Diaries.
Mm-hmm.
And she had known you from just around the city. So it's it's a trip that you have all these kids that you're going in the rooms with,
Mm-hmm.
and you're connected to. Was it consistent for you after you booked this job? And if so, was it difficulty watching some of your other friends kind of come up or maybe surpass you, anything like that?
Man,
That?
I think, I think with that, it was because auditioning was such a thing, and you'd go to an audition room and there'd be all these people, you would see the same familiar faces. And during that time, there was no social media. So they were all kind of a hangout. These auditions were a hangout when I was younger. But it is, like you say, you and I go on for many years since we've met. It's been crazy to have some time in this industry, but see everybody grow in their own way artistically. And so, man, I think at the time I didn't have necessarily a group that I would always run with. But everybody knew each other, or like had seen their face before, had seen them in something, right? You couldn't go to there was no Instagram or anything like that, so you knew familiar faces.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably so fun back then in the sense that like now we're all on tape.
Sure.
You know, we don't have that connection anymore to walk into those rooms. And one of my best friends actually met in an audition room. Literally we were auditioning for a pilot.
Okay.
And everybody was so serious. And he's this dude from London, and
Yeah.
him and I made eye contact, and he just started laughing. Didn't say anything. I started laughing, didn't even say anything to each other, saw each other a month later, became like really close, but we had like this human moment in this room. We were all in it kind of together in the same boat. And now we're on tape trying to guess, trying to present what we think is the right thing to do. It's a trip, man.
It is. It's changed. And I think regardless of the past 2 years in the pandemic, I think they were heading towards self-tape situations. It's kind of faster, easier, more convenient for a lot of people. But there is moments in magic in those audition rooms that you're missing. And even the like just human interaction of, hey, how are you? My name's Michael. Where are you from? That minute and a half of just talking really quick before you go into the scene matters to get a sense of who is this person, not as this character we want them to play, but who is this person that, do I want to even work with this person on set? Are you going to be a joy to be around? Are you going to be fun? Right. Cause it's you don't get that in the self-tapes. They might be right for the role, but let's be honest. Some people chemistry, offset or in between, takes and such might not be the best. And to me, that matters for something. I don't know.
I have a list of questions, but just while we're on this topic, and I told you to listen to that podcast, Dead Eyes, about that. I don't know if you heard it, but the guy
were telling me about it. Yes.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, there's this amazing podcast called Dead Eyes about a guy named Connor Ratliff who auditioned for Band of Brothers, booked the role, and then got word from his agent that Tom Hanks, who was directing the episode he was supposed to do, was having second thoughts because he felt like Connor had dead eyes in his tape. Now, to go back into the room after hearing such news is probably you're literally set up for failure. But while we're in auditioning, it's such a rush. It can be the most exhilarating feeling and the most humbling and the most devastating feeling all at the same time. So while we're on this topic, Michael Trevino, who has consistently worked as an actor for as long as I've known you, what is the best moment you've ever had in an audition that you can remember? And what is the worst moment that you can remember in an audition? And you don't have to use any names if you don't want to.
Oh, geez. You're talking about like in-person auditions.
In-person audition. Like what was like, we'll start with the worst moment and then we'll start with the best, because we'll end on a higher note.
Okay, good.
I'll share mine after you.
God. Okay. So look, we've all auditioned so many times. There's been so many auditions, and I'm sure if I really thought about it, maybe something different would come to mind, but I'm going to give my answers top of my head. What's hitting me right now. And as far as probably one of the worst experiences, oh man, this is going to lead into it. I'll be honest. So there was, I believe it was Joseph Middleton, who's a casting director, and he was casting, I think the movie was 21. Oh, wow. And is it 21 where they're in Vegas and this is a gambling movie, right? But the roles at the time that I would go out for were like these kind of, they were bully characters, right? That had a lot of angst, a lot of aggroness to them. And this guy was, he was drunk in the scene. And so I'm very young at the time. I'm thinking like, well, you know what? Maybe I'll drink a little bit of something just to have some kind of sense memory, right?
Oh, man.
Let me tell you, those listening, that is not a good idea. Don't do that. Just act, okay? Just act. Don't, go all method on people. Just be a performer. Get in your head. Use your imagination. But without getting into too much specifics, I remember I was just doing weird stuff. Just doing weird stuff in that room because I thought this character would be more free, and I felt like, oh, because I maybe had a beer at lunch and I walked in here, I got this. He's got a little buzz going on. And I can just remember during that scene, right? You're in it, but you got your peripheral vision. You can see people. I could just see them wondering, like, is this kid for real?
Yeah.
Like, what is he? I could tell it was just not landing at all.
Yeah.
And I did it because they gave me notes, and I did it like a second time or third time. And I just think it got worse and worse because wow. I was just going off the deep end at that point. So I can remember that being and I was sweating. Like I could, not only my anxiety was taking over, but then I was like, am I really drunk or whatever? And I'm sweating in there. It was just a bad look all around. So off the top of my head, I think that was probably one of the more, worst experiences. And Joseph Middleton's a great casting director. He brings me in a good amount. And I can't even remember him giving me a look like, hey, bud, you okay? You all right? And so I don't know, just if it calls for you to be drunk in a scene, for those up and coming actors out there, just pretend. No need to go in the room a little drunk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to share my worst one before you do your best
Please.
one? Or
Yeah. Let me hear one.
Okay. So I had, similar to you, I was going to Golden West Community College. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Yeah. And my sister told me to hop into acting class. So I started taking theater, which it was like an okay theater. It was a decent theater program in Golden West, but I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
I just knew this was fun. And I had one of those very weird serendipitous moments where I got a message on MySpace. Oprah was starting her new network, and I had a big, mixed guy afro at the time.
Uh-huh.
And she was casting for a new show. And the casting director said, you look like you'd be great for this role. In my mind, when I just getting that message, I thought I was going to get the role. Like, I was like, because I thought like, oh, this is how it happens. I heard all these stories about people getting discovered.
I was about to say, no doubt you were getting discovered in that moment.
Yeah. Well, so I drive to Los Angeles. I barely work on it because I didn't really know how to work on it. So I maybe kind of memorized the words, but I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't even tell you what the scene was about now. Mm-hmm. I get called into the room and it's already like a producer session. Like there's 5 people in there.
Wow.
Already.
Did you know that was like a producer session?
I didn't know, looking back, because when you're younger, right? It's like, I had no idea. Now I know, like, you get 1-2 people tops your first read. You get the camera, either the person's working camera or they're doing a read. There was a solid 5 people ready to go in there.
Wow.
And they're like, all right, cool. And I wasn't nervous. I was so naive. I was like, fuck, they're just going to give me this. And then like, they're like,
yeah,
we started reading, and I fully could tell, like, I felt like I was slowly walking off a cliff.
Oh no.
Yeah. I could fully tell that it wasn't working. Like I could I didn't even know how to act, and I could tell it wasn't working. And then all of a sudden there was a landline in there. It started ringing. I kept going. I thought,
you did.
Yeah. I thought you don't stop.
Right.
I was like, oh, you don't stop. You just keep going. So I kept ringing, and they're looking. I can see it in their faces. Like, this guy's going to go through the ring.
Sure.
And I finished, and then they just said, okay, thank you. And I got up. And
well, what's that feeling? Like it's
dude, it's so
when
funny.
You don't have the room, but what is that feeling because when you got them, when it's going well, and when it's not going well. So what is that feeling when it's not going well? It's just, it's not the faces. Obviously these people are professionals. They're not making like bad faces at you, like
no, it just goes to show, with everything that we do as human beings, we have this internal compass that is usually right at least 90% of the time.
No, I would agree.
We can feel it inside of ourselves when something is not going well. And I'm
Sure.
telling you, this was the first audition I'd ever done in my life.
Yeah.
And there was no naive feeling that I did a good job at all. I could feel it, and I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't know how to work on the audition. I didn't know how to interact with the casting. All I knew inside myself as I was finishing was, this does not feel right.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
got up and I walked out, and and I still lived in Long Beach at the time. So I did Seal Beach. It's like same
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Right there. Yeah.
I did that hour and a half. It was rush hour. So I did that hour and a half drive home.
Just thinking about it. Just thinking about it.
The drive home of shame.
Just replaying the whole moment. Yeah, man.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
I feel that.
Yeah. So that was my worst. So,
Yeah.
hey, to Michael's point, yeah, don't drink, but also work on the craft. Like, learn how to do it before you think you're going to be a star. Because
Yeah.
if you think you're just going to walk in and be a star, like, even then, Robert Pattinson became a good actor. You know what I mean? Like, we hear these stories, like these, you still have to study, respect the art. I did not respect it in that time period, and I learned the hard way.
Sure. Yeah. We all do. We all do. We all have those moments. Even the most successful people have fallen flat on their face. Believe me. It's just part of it. It's part of it.
Yeah. So, but now that we've gotten that out of the way, I want to hear what it feels like, walking into a room after you've done the work, after you've respected the art, even if you didn't get the job, that one of the best auditions you've ever felt you've had, where you were confident in what you did, how you came in. If I want to talk about what that feels like.
Well, it's just like you said, it's coming in prepared and having done the work and being as prepared as possible, even more prepared than you want to be or than you think.
Well, what does that look like? I'm sorry, like,
Sure.
yeah, what does that look like as far as being prepared for you? Like as far as, and you don't have to tell us how you break, every step of how you break down your character, but
for me, even currently, it's well, one, how well do I know this material?
yeah.
Right. And there's a different, it's my nervous system, right? Like I'm nervous before I walk onto set.
Yeah.
I'm nervous before I go on tape. But there's a different kind of nervousness when you're even a little bit unprepared. And so it's about identifying, like, am I nervous because I'm a little lost and I know I don't have this, or am I nervous because I know I'm about to perform and we're about to go in it?
Yes.
And so it's like, honestly, when you have the worry or the fear or the anxiety, all that is lack of preparedness.
Yeah.
That's really all that is. That's what it is for me. When I feel like I'm nervous, like I'm feeling lost, I know I didn't do the work and I didn't work on this hard enough, or frankly, if I'm being honest, I don't care enough. Because let's be honest, there's auditions that come my way that I put myself on tape for because we all want to be working actors, but also I want to get the reps in. But some of these auditions, I maybe don't care enough.
Yeah.
And so that's a real feeling where I'm like, I don't think I care about this. And that's fine. We're human beings. We're not going to relate to each of these projects or characters. So,
what do you do to get out of that?
Well, that is the work. And what I mean by that is you're going to get material auditions that, or you're going to be on a TV series, right? And you're going to get next episode script and you're not going to like your stuff in it. You're not going to be like, wait, my character's doing this now? I don't agree with this, or I don't like it. Well, guess what? That's not part of your job. Your job is to come here and tell the story. Yeah. So what I mean by that is the work is, even if you don't identify or agree with or like the way your character's going, you're hired to do a job. This is a profession. Mm-hmm. And so you're hired to tell this story. So even if your mind, body disagrees with, like, the way it's written, guess what? That's part of your job. Your job is to make that shine. Your job is to make that gold and to tell the story as best as possible. So maybe that's getting out of your own way, getting out of your ego, and just having some gratitude, knowing that this profession in itself is incredibly difficult, and don't ever forget that. So just do the job.
You know, I love that you said gratitude, because when I was hearing you say that, all I can hear in my head repeating is humility.
Yeah.
Be humble, be
Mm-hmm.
humble. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not to say that you know, you alone know where you're, you know, everybody listening, you alone know where you're at with your creative career and process. You know, if something is going to support lifting you up in your endeavors in your career, or if it's going to bring you back a couple of steps. It's not about saying no, not being able to say no, but there is an aspect of understanding where you're at and having that gratitude and humility to know that it is a blessing to even have the opportunity in the first place.
No
And
doubt.
I found myself battled that a couple of times. You know, it's that initial email where you get the email and you start reading it and you're like, oh shit. And then I'll usually grab my wife. I go, babe, is this really bad?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Trying to get a second opinion, or like,
and you start looking, who's doing this?
Right.
Who's doing this? Okay.
Right. You're looking at, right. Well,
Yeah. And then it's like, you know, but in some things I say no, but others I go, you know what? Me, where I am at this current moment, does this support my growth? Yeah, sure. This particular one, it does support my growth and my endeavors in my career, being married and in considering a family. If I were to get this, would this support my life, my career? Yes. So I then set aside all that ego and go at it from an artistic point of view. How can I make this, you know, the best version of Cottrell's experience that I can?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And but here's the thing, like, that is, to me, that's, you're a human being. You're going to have opinions on certain things, and you're going to feel a certain way. So it's okay to maybe disagree or not connect with certain material or auditions that come your way. That happens to me often. But again, those that maybe don't have the luxuries of the offers coming left and right of like, oh, they want you for this, they want you for that.
Yeah.
When you have an opportunity, and an audition is an opportunity, don't waste that. Don't waste that. And so, you know, for me anyway, it's so much of getting out of your own way. I got to get out of my own way when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, man. 100%. And in that regard, right? Well, I want to kind of take a little step back, because I know that you've had a pretty blessed career as far as working consistently for a decent amount of time now. Have you experienced those dry spells? And if so, like what did you do to kind of fulfill yourself throughout those dry periods?
Yeah, I know exactly. I know exactly what I did. So I had a great run on the Vampire Diaries, which lasted 8 years. We shot that in Atlanta, Georgia. I was out there for 9 months out of the year. Kind of took over my whole life. It was a great thing, great moment. But when that show ended, at the time, you think, oh, you've got this business figured out.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to consistently work now. You've been on one successful show. You got it made. And for me, that was my thought, but that was not real life. I went into these audition rooms, thinking that these casting directors, oh, they know me from the show, like almost like you going for the Oprah audition. Oh, they want me for this. Come on. So I'm walking in there like, I got this. And guess what happened? I didn't perform well, because going back to that nervousness of not being prepared, I wasn't as prepared as I should have been, because I took advantage of the fact that, like, oh, I've been working, I got this, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's not true. As performers, as actors, I mean, we're constantly evolving, we're constantly growing. So we're an instrument. You got to keep that acting tool going. And after Vampire Diaries, yeah, I think there was a moment of, oh, geez, there had to have been at least a year to a year and a half, if I can look back, that I wasn't working. And that wasn't by choice. I was auditioning consistently. And I
Wow.
was consistently being told, no, you're not the guy.
Yeah.
Uh, and so, yeah, you were talking about humility. It gives you some different perspective. It shakes you up. And I remember this, what I did. I was like, okay, I can get back in acting class. I've been in many. That's great. I need something different. I need something to shake me up. And what I did at the time, because I'm all about class, I'm not no problem getting back into an acting class, whether it's one-on-one or in a group with other people. I ended up enrolling at UCB,
Yep.
Upright Citizens Brigade. And I was like, I don't do improv. I've never done it. Seems terrifying. Maybe that'll open me up in some way. So what I did was like, I need to get back into a class or something. And so I joined UCB, and I went through their like 101, 201, 301, 401. I was there for like 9 months straight and auditioning in between, but not booking anything. But I went to UCB, spent a full year there, and I was around people that were hungry, people that haven't been on TV shows, people that want to be on TV shows, people that want to do be stand-up comics, people that want to write for TV, because there's a lot of writers that go to UCB for that long form style of improv.
Yeah.
And I was just being around that was like, made me hungry again, you know? So maybe the years of being on a successful show, like kind of, I got a big head about it. I don't know. Thought I had it figured out, and then I didn't. So what do? You go back and you kind of regroup, retool, learn new things. And I jumped into a class, and the UCB really opened me up, because it is, I don't know, anybody who's listening, if you take an improv class, it's the most terrifying thing in the world, because it's either going to go well, or if
Yeah.
it doesn't, which most often it won't, it's embarrassing and you fall flat on your face. But it's great growth. Like you're learning and you're putting yourself out there. So I would suggest an improv class, but you know, just getting back into class is really what you have to do. And that's where it started, right? It would make sense that you get back to the basics. What are the basics? Get back into a class, and figure out where you're at in life and try and bring that into your work. So that's what I did. That took me out of the dry spell, if you will.
Oh, that's awesome, man. And didn't
Yeah,
you do a play too?
I did. I
How
did.
was that experience going from TV to play?
Wow. Yeah. There was, oh man, it was after, I did one season of Roswell, and then I was like, being on stage or a play had always interested me. And of course, everybody's like, they want to do a play on Broadway. You want to be in New York. And at the time I was like, look, I need I'll take anything. I just want to feel what that's like and go through that rehearsal process and do something else that I've never done. And so I did this. There was these auditions in LA, right, off Melrose, for this Dostoevsky play, Crime and Punishment.
Yeah.
And I auditioned for it and went through, this audition process, partnering up with people, and ended up booking the job. So fought for it, but it really, man, just I learned so much, and it really opened me up just to be on stage and perform in that way. That's different from being on a TV set. And it was just another challenge. I like challenges. I like to challenge myself, or do stuff that I haven't done, or do something that terrifies me because I've never done it, or I don't know if I could do it. And the play really, like, I'm forever grateful for that, because it is hard work. The rehearsal process for that, I mean, you're rehearsing for a month before you even put it up.
Yeah.
And that play in particular was a small, it was a small theater in Santa Monica off Main Street, a 3-person play. Worked with incredible people, but I was on stage for 90 minutes straight.
Wow.
It's another terrifying feeling, but you learn a lot. And you stretch yourself. Like, I did things that I didn't think was possible. I get auditions that are 6 pages, and I freak out, like, okay, let's get at least 6 pages down. Let's figure this out. And now, I can remember, wait, you've done this. You've done a play where you're on stage for 90 minutes straight. Like, this dialogue, the writing, make it flow for you. And I want to do another play. I want to continue doing that because it's just different. It's different.
Yeah, it seems exhilarating, man. Like it's just
Yeah,
you want to test your art chops
you
up
do.
on
And
a
it's
stage.
it's a little bit more freeing as well, right? Because you
Yeah.
don't necessarily have much of a mark. There's some lighting cues, but you're able to be a bit more free in your posture, in your body, in your voice. But it is super high stakes. You are on stage, and if something goes wrong, it could go wrong. And man, I learned a lot. And at the time, before I did it, like most people, if you've been to a play, you think, oh, they're on stage, and the audience is dark. You never see them. Man, let me tell you, this play was in Santa Monica, in a theater where like you saw everybody, and they're
Oh
like
wow.
feet away from me. Like it's a tiny theater, maybe like 100 people, but you can see everything, hear everything. People that are either really engaged, people that have fallen asleep, people who are on their phone. Like it was happening. And you know what? You learn to just like, I see this person asleep, but I'm gonna power through this thing. And so it's it's a hell of an experience if you want to feel a certain type of way. Do a play and do it at a smaller like regional theater.
And
Really.
how long was that run?
It was a month long. It was a month long. We did shows on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It ran for a month. We had rehearsed for a month straight. And it's the hardest rehearsal process I've ever done, which is rehearsing like Monday through Friday for 8 hours a day,
Yeah.
just tackling this script and talking about the scenes, the dialogue. What does this mean to you? And it was, yeah, it was Crime and Punishment. So it was real heavy. But
Yeah.
it's such a great learning experience. I mean, it really shook me up as well. But it's in those moments where it's like, you go to the classes, you go to you you're doing great work in classes, even if it's scene study. You're doing work. We're working. That's work.
Yeah.
So you might not be getting paid. You might not be on TV or doing a film. But if you're in class, don't count that for nothing. Yeah, that's the work. When you book a job, then you go have fun and you get paid for it. But
Yeah.
if you want to work, that's getting in class and that's getting these reps in. That's the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's definitely, I feel like a play is every actor's bucket list unless they're actually doing that or they came up in that world.
Right. And I didn't, but I have to tell you, I kind of wish I did. Like I'm envious of those that go to Juilliard and
Yeah.
NYU and go through the Tisch or whatever it may be, and that grew up in the theater. Like those are very talented people. And I don't know, I grew up in East LA. I never had theater around to join in high school or be part of the theater growing up, younger theater club or any of that. I wish I did. And I'm kind of envious. Even now, I'm like, I wonder how things would have been for me if I would have made this decision at a younger age and wanted to, go to a place like Juilliard. That would have been interesting for me. I don't know.
In regards to like we're talking about these dry spells and what you did to stay creative.
Mm.
I feel like in artistry, not just in acting, and making a career as a creative person can be strenuous on your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I'll speak for myself. There's certain practices I've had to kind of come through and come up with to keep myself sane through this crazy creative process.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you recently told me that you went sober,
Mm-hmm.
or you're sober now, and
Mm-hmm.
and that you've kind of instilled some practices to kind of support you as an artist as you navigate this career. And I wanted to know if you're open to sharing that with some of the listeners.
Yeah, I think, for me, because this is something that, I'm um, still going through. So it's in some ways it feels fresh, but yeah, I've been uh, sober for over 4 years now. And I think at the time when I decided, man, I need to take a break from drugs and alcohol, is like you lose focus. You lose focus, and in this, if you're an artist, if you're creative, you need to you have your faculties, wits about you. You need to be present and as present as you can be. And your self-awareness has to be working at an all-time high. You have to
Yeah.
just be in those around you. And I think there's a lot of distraction out in the world. I mean, technology, social media, alcohol abuse, everything. And so for me, I was like, I need to take a break from this stuff so I can really, really get grounded, take care of myself better, but also set goals and see them through.
Yeah.
And I wasn't, you need to give yourself the best chance possible. And for me, I had to cut some distractions out. And so that's what I did. That's the short version of it.
Yeah.
But that's what I had to do. And, I think it's a kind of a more common thing now. I think like people that are more outspoken about their sobriety, and I think it's a great thing. Um, I don't know if that is a forever thing for me,
Yeah.
but it was a much needed break that I jumped right into. And just like anything else, creative or business wise, when you do something, you have to commit. And when you commit, you have to stay disciplined and consistent. And those go hand in hand. So I think the way that I've taken my sobriety serious and have been consistent with it, in so many ways, I've also taken back the power in my career to be consistent and disciplined on all levels.
Yeah.
And I feel like it served me well. I'm doing all right. I have some goals. I'm checking off some boxes. It's going well. So, you know, um, for those of you out there who are struggling in any way with drugs or alcohol, sobriety is not that bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I have to agree with you. I talked to you about, I recently returned myself.
Mm-hmm.
I went through my mid 20s all the way till I was 30. I went almost 5 years sober.
Mm-hmm.
Returned to drinking a little bit, and now I'm back on, I don't even want to say the wagon. I don't know. I don't even know the terms, but
Yeah. Yeah.
um to your point, it's funny. We can walk around, or I'll speak for myself. I could walk around saying, "Oh, I don't feel any pressure in my life," you know,
Mm,
and I'll even talk about, I've hung around a lot of very successful actors, and I've been on these sets, and I've seen what it takes to be number one, two, three, four, five on a call sheet of a series that maybe shoots, now it's 10 episodes, but back then it was 22,
mm,
and the demand of that.
mm-hmm.
And I would see these individuals, and once the weekend came around, and they'd party. And in my mind, I was like, oh, like, they're working, they're partying. But I didn't realize, like, as I start to work more in this creative field, even DJing like high stakes gigs, right? I still get that, what my coach likes to call performance energy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, those nerves kick up, but the pressure to know that there's a lot on your shoulders, and after you've kind of completed it, there's like this aspect of feeling like, oh, I deserve this night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, for me, especially as of recently being 37, I'll say my real actual birth age, um
Yeah.
it the next day just kept getting worse and worse. And I wasn't an everyday drinker. I was a once a week drinker.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like that one day, after a long week of, don't know where my money's coming from. Oh, now, oh wow, I just got a bunch of money. Oh, cool. I did what I needed to do. Saturday's here.
Right.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And people don't think that affects you mentally, but it does. It does. And I think there's a lot of benefit to, if you're if your substance abuse is similar to mine, anybody listening to this, where you have that one day where you go a little too far, maybe take out that one day, because the there's something to being able to sit in the fire at all times. And then all of a sudden you notice that the discomfort doesn't feel that bad. It actually, you're actually growing in this crazy discomfort. You're actually achieving things that you never thought you can achieve before in this discomfort. Things that you thought were a big deal aren't as big of a deal as they used to be, you know? But when you're clear, you can experience and understand that. I wasn't clear, so I personally had to take a step back, you know?
Yeah, that's well said, because there is something, it's okay to feel uncomfortable. Being uncomfortable is growth. It's you evolving. And too often, most people, they try and mask that. They try and, it's a form of medicating themselves. So they have a drink or do something else. And ultimately, for those that can be a social drinker and no moderation, good for you. That's amazing. But so often some people, it happens so quickly. It's habit forming. And all of a sudden these drinks are habits because that's what you do. And then you realize, like, oh man, I'm not focused, or I'm not on top of my game, or you're waking up the next morning and you're feeling like shit. That's going to affect you. You're not fully present, even if you tried. And for most creatives in any field, it's difficult enough. So don't make it harder on yourself.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
And yes,
Yeah.
amen. And disclaimer, if you drink, you are not bad. There's two subjects I want to touch on.
Not at all.
If you drink, you're not bad. And I want to make this clear, if I didn't before, I think Robert Pattinson is an incredible actor. When I said that, mentioned that earlier, I heard he was discovered, but at this current moment, I think that dude is one of the sickest actors of our generation.
Cottrell, Cottrell, it sounds like you're saying Robert Pattinson got lucky. He's just a lucky dude.
No. This dude is a fantastic artist. And after he had his opportunity, from what I know of this person, I don't know him personally. After he had his opportunity, he wanted to expand himself as an artist and dug deep. And that is the product he is today.
Sure, no doubt. Because he's making different choices, right? Remember I was saying choices earlier? He's making some very specific choices with the type of, material movies he wants to do. And it looks like it's paying off for the guy.
100%. There's two other things I want to touch on. I know you're directing now.
Yes, that is a real thing.
How has that transition been from, just focusing on acting into stepping into guiding the ship?
I think a lot of the work I've done has been on television series, and being on set for a good amount of time consistently, you look around, and for me, I've always been like, how does this machine work? How are we telling these stories? What does this sound department do? What does the camera department do? What is this electrical lighting guy doing? What's the gaffer doing? Because it does take a village. There's so many people setting up these shots, and who are on the crew, who are on set. What do they do? And so I've always been paying attention to that. And with that, I've just been fascinated with, like, wow, this is a whole team. This is a machine on these productions to tell these stories. And I always thought, like, man, I want, again, like, why not me? I want to do that. Yeah. I want to experience that. I think I have what it takes to manage that, because it's such a huge undertaking. And most recently, the series that I'm on right now, Roswell, New Mexico, since the pilot, I had already been in the show creator's ear, like, hey, I'd like to direct. Do you mind if I shadow these directors? Do you mind if I just stick around Video Village? Can I just hang around even if I'm not here? And I was always given the green light to just hang around and be around as much as I wanted. And so since season one of Roswell, I've been shadowing every guest director that's been on, learning from them, asking the right questions, because it interests me. And it wasn't until after season 3, I do all this talk about wanting to be a director. Well, prove it, show yourself, go direct something. So I put together this short film that I shot over 2 days. It's about 13 pages, and we're just wrapping that up now in post-production, just to feel what that's like to actually do it. And also to show my producers, like, hey, I directed this thing, take a look at it. And luckily enough, this past season 4 of Roswell, they gave me an episode. They let me direct an episode. They gave me the keys to the machine. And so this past season, I was able to direct as my first time directing episodic television, which is such a huge accomplishment, because just like anything, it's so difficult to do, to be given that opportunity or to be given a chance and for them to trust you. And so I didn't take it lightly. I just leaned into it and prepped as much as I could. And I mean, I could speak on a whole nother podcast about it, but it was just so fulfilling and a different type of joy and fulfillment than acting.
Wow.
I love acting. Will continue to always do that. But so often, especially on a TV series, you pop in, you do your scene, you do your job. It's great. And then you're done and you go home and you go do your thing. It's a great life. No one's complaining here. I love it. But there was something about being on set, every day, every scene, setting up the shot, dictating your shot list, how you want to interpret this script, how you want to tell this story, was way more fulfilling. I've never been so fulfilled. And also because it is incredibly difficult. It is taxing on the mind and the body. It's another pressure cooker, especially network television, because we don't have the luxury of maybe some independent film we'll shoot this amount of pages, and then if we don't get it, we'll just push it to the next day. There's a set schedule in TV land, and you have only 12 hours to shoot this amount of pages. And if you don't shoot this amount of pages, that's not good. You might not get hired again. That's part of the job as well. So I'm doing it now. I loved it. I got an episode under my belt, and I hope when it premieres and airs that get some eyes on it. And I'd like to be given another chance, hopefully on another series.
Yeah, man. Hey, it's such a big accomplishment, man. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, man. It is. It's been a long time coming, and I'm again gratitude. Like I'm lucky. I mean, I spoke up, right? Closed mouths don't get fed. I spoke up. I told them what I wanted to do. I put in some work on the side. I shot a short film, and they gave me a shot. So I'm really happy.
You should do a little screening party, a little watch party.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. We don't have a premiere date for season 4, but when we do, I'll know when my episode airs, and I'm definitely going to have some type of get together. So you will be there, my friend.
Awesome.
And it's great.
Right on, man. And I appreciate you coming on. And last question before we go.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself going in this grand career of entertainment?
This grand career of entertainment. I think the business has changed so much that you can't just do one thing, right? We have to do everything. Right? You're a writer, you're producing, you're acting, you have a podcast, you have a production company. And I think it's a beautiful thing, because we all should be able to do everything, to the best of our ability, but we have that opportunity, right? And so for me, I think I'm helping a buddy with his project, a feature film. So I'm putting in air quotes here for people that can't see this visually. I'm putting in air quotes that I am producing this movie.
Yeah.
I'm basically assisting and helping out, lending a hand as much as I can, but also learning how to produce a feature film, what that takes. On the back end of things, of prep and logistics and permits and locations and crew and equipment. And so I'm leaning into that right now. And I think that if I can continue to balance acting and now directing, I just love the business as a whole, every aspect of it, producing, writing, post-production. It's all fascinating to me. I still have so much to learn, but we have to, as creatives, keep ourselves busy and creative and working towards a goal. So for me, I'm trying to take it all on. Whatever's next, I'm for it.
That's awesome, man. I want to say that you have always been so consistent, so open, so humble, and I know that you're going to continue to grow in this industry, because you have all these things, and it's very inspiring. I'm inspired by you. So
I appreciate that, Gatrell. We go way back, man, and that there's been a lot in the past few years and a lot of growth. And all of us, we're getting older, right? There's a lot we're growing up, and I just that means a lot. Those words, very kind words. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, hey, thank you for hopping on with us on Connected AF. And will you tell the individuals that even though you have 1-something million followers, I'm sure there's more people that could look you up.
Sure.
What is your handles? Where do you want people to see?
My handles of Twitter and Instagram are the same, at Michael Trevino. Look me up, say hello. Just Twitter and Instagram. That's all I do, man. That's all I have. I can't come out with these YouTube channels. I can't do it yet, man. I can't do it. God bless them though, but I can't do it.
Right on. Well, yeah, you guys go check out Michael Trevino at Instagram and on Twitter and on Roswell, New Mexico, because he is a great actor. You will not be disappointed. And ladies, you'll enjoy watching him because he's a good looking guy. With substance, people. With substance. All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Once again, my name is Cottrell Guidry, and I appreciate you listening to us. I hope you learned some things. Have an incredible day.